Hey, good morning, everybody. Let me get you a little bit closer. There we go. Good morning, everybody. Uh-oh. OCD says, nope, not quite squared. There we go. Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy Monday, everyone. Oh, look at this. It's playing up again. Let me pull you way over here. There we go. Good to see you all. I hope you had a great weekend. Oh, I'm super tired this morning. Let's see who's here. I'm very glad to see you. Just woke up at 3 something and I ended up getting up at 4, which is a little bit too early even for an early bird. But I hope you had a great weekend. And I really loved our coffee time, our cocktail time on Friday night. It was such a mellow episode. I wasn't really sure how it was going to go. I loved the book and I hoped that you did too. But it was the Vera Underhill book. It was such a fun episode. It was super cozy and mellow, and there were so many sweet anecdotes that came out of that book, and a lot of little tips, and just a lot of bits and bobs that I thought were so, so, so cute. And I got a lot of great feedback on that episode, so I'm so glad that you hopefully enjoyed it too. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to follow up on that right now. Donna, good morning. Great to see you. Catherine, good morning. There you are, right together, two friends, right? Tara, great to see you. I'm glad you're there. Oh, Lori, good to see you in Texas. Rainy Monday. Oh, I'm sorry. It's pretty sunny here today. Maybe it's making its way this way. I bet it'll rain itself out and then you'll have a beautiful afternoon. Chrissy and Georgia, good to see you. I always love to see you. And Kirsten, good to see you. Oh, all the buddies are on. Karen, good morning. And sunny Connecticut. It is beautiful. Beverly, good morning. Oh, it's gray and overcast in Washington State. Mom. Oh, you miss coffee time on the weekends. Oh, dear. Well, we have our fun on Saturday night. And, of course, next week on Sunday, May 23rd, I'm running I almost said Magdalena. I'm running the Designing Like Matisse workshop. I should bring that thing back in. I'm still working on it a little bit. It's going to be a great night. I hope that you sign up. It'll be fun. It's a couple of hours designing, and you'll end up drawing a bunch of things that you can use, as original designs. And I just put the thing together this week, and I always like to send a document that has a lot of starting ideas. This one is really, really dense and heavy with patterning. So it's going to be a really fun class. I hope that you can be there, because right after that I'm going to be leaving for Cape Cod for a couple of weeks. And although I plan to keep on with coffee time and doing a lot of things, I don't know that every day, my signal will be great. So I am working forward at this point. I just caught up on the last order. I'm working on all the volunteer kits that are going out like in the next few days. I dyed a full bolt of fabric this weekend. I went over to Naomi to get one of her bolts because I was out again. I dyed a full bolt besides tons and tons of yarn sets. So I've got 4 or 5 new sets for you to show you soon. This is the one I can show you now because the Fiesta, everybody was loving the Fiestaware as a yarn sampler, but I know some people prefer, to work with wool strips than yarn, or just doing other stuff, applique projects or whatever. And I wanted to be sure I offered it also in yarn, so I dyed this over the weekend, the Fiestaware 20 color set. So I'll be putting this out probably tomorrow, maybe even this afternoon, as the swatch set for right now. I'll put out another one in like 2 or 3 weeks, or at least I'll get it ready while I'm, before I go away. But this is going to be the Fiestaware, and all of these reflect different colors of Fiestaware over the years. That's the plum one from, oh no, that's the plum. Yeah, that's plum. This is the lilac one from the 80s, and this is juniper. That's my all-time favorite. This one's lemongrass. I know this is harlequin blue here. Such pretty colors of Fiestaware, but these are going to be coming out as a swatch kit with the mystery pattern. I already know what the mystery pattern is, and it's completely different than your last 2 mystery patterns, so that's kind of fun. But I've been working like a beast trying to get stuff done so I have stuff to put out while I'm away, and not panicking about not having any sales while we spend money wildly on lobster rolls and stuff. That sounds so decadent, doesn't it? They're pretty low-key vacations. We've been going to the same spot for about 45 years, the same pond. So, all of that. I'm catching up on everything. Linda, good morning to all you fiber fans. That's right. Relda, good morning. I just sent your thing out, I think, Saturday or Friday. Oh, yes. Please thumbs up, comment, all of that stuff. I really appreciate it. Amber, good morning. And Penny, good morning. Oh dear, Doreen, upstate New York. Good morning, Doreen. And Christine, beautiful day in Brockport. Yeah, I bet. Robin, good morning. You're sitting outside hooking. Oh, how nice. Teresa, good morning. Good to see you. Sheila, good morning. Everybody's on this morning. Wow, April, good morning. Oh, how fun. Your cousin just finished a 3-day workshop with Pris Butler. She is an iconic legend for sure. Thanks, Nance. It's still over a week away, but the kids are really chomping at the bit. They're getting to this age with vacations, more with the summer vacation, and it's very early too. I know I haven't talked to the school yet about getting them out a little bit early, but they're homeschooling anyway, but they're getting to the age where they enjoy the summer vacation even more. And I think what they enjoy most about it is a tradition that we've always had in our family. We make a Cape Cod box, and the genesis of this box is that when I was little, me and my sister, my parents needed to bide some time when we arrived at the cabin on the lake, the same lake that we still go to. And what they did was my mom started putting together like a cardboard box and getting normal things like coloring books and pads and markers and things like that, Mad Libs, all the Uno, all these kinds of things, putting them in the box. So then we each had our own box that would be sealed, and we'd be able to start decorating the box like with crayons and scratch and sniff stickers like a week before the vacation. And when we arrived, as soon as the car pulled in, we could get the Cape Cod boxes out and tear them open and start looking at the stuff. And it gave my parents time to unload all the suitcases, set up the clothes, set up the little bar, take all our toys and puzzles out. It bought them a bit of time, and I've been doing that. And my kids have been looking forward to the Cape Cod boxes so much. They were decorating theirs last night and counting down with X's on the calendar until we can go. So we are in a happy little valley right now, just the anticipation, of something really great coming up. So that'll be so much fun. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, you know what? The thing about having a little break is, number one, I'm going to remind you, but during those times I'll do a lot of pre-recorded stuff because I'm not just going to disappear. I'm going to make sure there's still a good stream of shows, that there's interesting things, that if I go to places where I'm finding rugs or finding information, I'll do videos and share them with you. But it has been like a inspiration avalanche for me in the last few days, last couple of weeks actually, just coming up with new color plans, new lines of things, and a bunch of new patterns that I will put out right before. So everything's just ready to go. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. I just, probably for you too, you go through these cycles where sometimes you just feel like doing mechanical work, and I just feel like hooking, having something on my lap, just hooking, moving, not really thinking. And then other times I don't feel like hooking at all. I just feel like sitting with a blank pad on my lap, sketching, evolving ideas I've had, making lists of ideas, one step away from, sketching, making the list and then doing the sketches. You just go through these different cycles where you feel like doing different things. And I'm a huge believer. Ever since I've left school, I went to art school like 4 times. Ever since, in school, you have to do what you have to do at that minute. Not even that hour, that minute you do what they tell you to do. But as soon as you're a grown up and you're done and you're out, you can decide, I feel like doing this right now, and I'm a huge believer in you should do that right now. And if you don't feel like sketching again for another 2 years, it is what it is. But, and if you don't feel like hooking for the next 2 years, it is what it is. Work on your sketches. But it's nice to not have to do something, to be able to follow, what's calling you. That's how you'll get the best work out of yourself. So along those lines, I have a couple interesting things for you this morning. I was super excited, during the Friday night cocktail night, I was super excited with the link to the Louise Zeisser Heirloom Rugs, because I'm a Rhode Islander and I've always been interested in the company. There's not a lot to know. There's not a lot to find out, but I have had their catalog for a good long time. And this is my first live chat. Oh, how great. Well, welcome. Blessings to you too. We're so happy to have you here. Oh, I'm glad you caught up with us. I wish I had more energy today, but I'll try to manufacture. I really will. It'll be a great episode. But this has been a super inspiration to me because isn't that true, Linda? You have to respect you know, where you are with what you feel like, because we're trying to hammer a square peg in a circle hole. You can do it. You can do it if you're determined to do it, but you're not going to get the best results from it, you know. Sincerity comes through in your work, you know, not just in personalities. It comes through in work. Feeling comes through. And to remember from the book, the Vera Underhill book on Friday, how she kept saying, machines can do this, machines can do that, but what machines cannot do is put mood into your piece. And I thought of, out of all the ideas and all the beautiful poetry that came out of Friday night in that gorgeous book, to me, that is the one thing that is the most important. That's the nucleus of the whole thing. Machines can do things faster and neater and perfect and, I guess, better. But at the end of the day, that mood, that little layer of the thing that you can't name, that you can't pinpoint, that thing that's you, that goes into the work, that's the mood that nobody else can do the same thing as you, even if they're doing the same pattern as you. So it's so important to remember that. And for that reason, work on this when you feel like it, work on this when you feel like it. And you'll be happier that way too, without having to force yourself onto some weird hamster wheel of, you know, got to finish this project, got to whip the edges. You know, the bus driver I used to work with when I was a tour guide, honestly, 100 times a day, he used to use the expression, in 100 years it ain't going to matter. And it used to drive me crazy because I thought, you know, I used to say, Norm, you know, what an ideal, like be a bit more, you know, ambitious, enthusiastic, participate, you know. But now I think of that more and more. In 100 years, it isn't really going to matter. So keep it the way you want it. But, you know, because Louise Zeiser and Heirloom Rugs was tied so closely to Vera Underhill, like they were good friends and they worked together so often, and the heirloom patterns were such a huge part of that book, I took out my heirloom book again. And I just want to say, just for the sake of documenting, since we're here and since this is recorded, I'm looking at the introduction letter, which is printed offset, right? It's a bit imperfect. That's not my page. This is diagonal. This is, I don't know what year this is, 1979, I guess. So this isn't super old, but this catalog represents like their entire body of work from day one. And they make a point of saying in the Dear Rug Hooker, this is like the intro page, a bunch of things about, you know, which patterns are in stock and how much they cost in 1970. Their prices haven't changed since 1976. This is coming out in 79. But they say one thing that's quite important, I think, for us with our records, with putting things in our heads and locking them in there for like future access. The heirloom and hookcraft. So that's hook raft. So like hook craft with a K, but one K. The heirloom and hookcraft designs were drawn by the late Louise Zeiser, while the Skaket, Skaket line, was designed by our good friend, the late Margaret Mackenzie. So now this is really important. These are names that are now going to be locked in my head. Heirloom I'm aware of, hookcraft I'm aware of, Skaket I've heard of. I can't say I can visualize like any particular design or theme or sort of genre, but I think that's interesting that we can put hookcraft and heirloom to Louise, and that this other line called Skaket is also the late Margaret Mackenzie. Good information right here on this page. Good information. Heirloom is telling this, you know, right off the bat. So I went through here. What does my mom say? The machine hasn't been invented. That has a soul. That's true. That's what flows from us. Our hands. That's, yep. All of that abstract, intangible stuff. That is the most important stuff as creators. And you know, when we're looking at this era of rug, the heirloom era of rug, so like the you know, 1930s, 1940s, 50s, 60s, mid-century. You know, so many different moods, and certainly this catalog reflects the flavor of the day. A little bit less for us now. We looked at some of these gorgeous heirloom rugs the other night, but I want to show you a few more that were not in the Underhill book that I think are fantastic because they're ones that I've seen out and about, either in auctions that I haven't won or in antique stores, and I think some are historically more popular than others, and it's worth showing a few to say, listen, you know, once someone hooks something in those sides that have the print that tell you the information about the rug are turned under, it's often so difficult to know who the designer was, who the company was, and what the name of the pattern was. You need all of these crazy reference books that you find piecemeal on eBay and spend a fortune on to be able to say, this is a hookcraft rug or this is an heirloom rug. Well, this design called Castles in Spain is an heirloom rug. Now, it's black and white. It's not a great picture, but man, this is a great image. Castles in Spain. You know, it's funny because it has that kind of Gauguin, very jungly landscape. And there is a castle in the distance, way up high, right, way up here. But otherwise, it kind of looks like a New England village with the little white church. I mean, maybe not. I haven't been to Spain yet. My mom has. Let me know, Mom. That's where they went on their honeymoon. But, you know, this is just a beautiful image. It's just a beautiful image. I love the wildness, the painterly quality of it. I love this giant tree that anchors everything right here. It should be a distraction, but it works. You know, this is one of these classic Z compositions, right? I always say go with an X, go with a Z, go with these classics. You come reading it like this over here, or backwards. You start with the church and you come up and then you're looking for the castle and you find it. One way or the other, your eye is traveling all over this composition, which means that it's a successful composition. And we did elephant ears. We did a few others, but a few jumped out at me as like, wow, that's really, really different. And I did show a bunch on Friday night. This one's really cute. This is very hard to see. This is an awful photograph. But this one here is called Frustration. Let me see if I can bring it into focus. So that is really hard to see. It's an awful photograph in the book. You can see it's very shape driven like a jigsaw. I know there's a bit of a shadow. But try to lock that into your mind because it is kind of a tessellation, a sort of a repeat. But it's not jigsaw and it's not stained glass. This is one that I know that I've seen. I don't think you see it as often as the jigsaw, the broken glass, or the mosaic, but it's yet another one that fits into that category of very completely shape-driven, small-scale rugs. So I think it's nice to have that one locked in. All of these are beautiful. I don't know if we saw this one, Harvest Moon, with the two cornucopias. This one here. We've seen a couple with two cornucopias. Of course, I showed them like this on Friday night, but this is not one that I showed, I'm sure. The other one I think was called Thanksgiving or something like that. But this is Harvest Moon. And not only do I love the name, I think it's just a gorgeous, lush composition. That one is really different. These are, right, the details are unreal. These are just ones that I would love to find in an antique store. Now, this one I did find. You see this one, the Three Kings down below, the Star of the East. This one I'm very familiar with. I'm sure I've shown it to you before. I broke it out at Christmas, and I'll break it out again next Christmas. But this is Star of the East, and it has plenty of holes. It's on burlap. It's beautiful, though. I absolutely love this piece. One day I might mend these holes. It was only up for about a month this year. I just wanted to look at it for the season. But, you know, you do find these things, and it is such a joy to be able to identify them, identify the maker, the pattern, all that stuff. I find so much fun. Now, let me show you what came this weekend, because this is really the sort of meat and potato. You know, I was researching Mrs. Harry King because I had a Mrs. Harry King rug. I still have it. And I could not find anything out about her, just the basics. So I ordered 2 magazines off of eBay, and they both came. Now, the reason I knew to order these magazines was because I found a very small article about her on the internet, and I looked at the bibliography. And in the bibliography, it listed a National Geographic magazine from, I think, 1930-something, and This Life magazine. Now, as it happened, I got them both on Saturday. The National Geographic magazine, it was a special feature on Arkansas. The entire magazine was devoted to Arkansas. There was not a page that did not have to do with the state. And Mrs. Harry King, Helen King, was from Arkansas. But unfortunately, her name was not mentioned once in that magazine. I went through it many times thinking there must be a reference. And you know what I think it was at the end of the day? If you remember college days and being a student, somebody put it in the bibliography for texture, for whatever, but there really was nothing in it that was about rug hooking or Helen King. So that was disappointing because that was like money down the drain. But this, on the other hand, this issue of Life magazine with Lana Turner on the cover, January 29th, 1940, is a gem. It's a tiny article, and I'm going to read the whole article to you. That's probably naughty, but I'm doing it anyway. 1940. Now, if you're going to look for this magazine, make sure that you don't just look for January 1940. Make sure you look for this one, because at this time, the Life magazine came out weekly. So there were 4 for January. So this is the one with Lana Turner on the cover. Now, again, it's a short little article. There's lots about the war, of course. There's some pretty graphic photos and stuff. I was fairly surprised. Very, very interesting just to flip through. But the little tiny spread that there is on Helen King is just fantastic. I should have bookmarked it. I didn't want to earmark it because I was afraid I was going to ruin the whole page. It's such a little fragile little magazine. Here we go. What page is it going to be? 45. Now, I used for the thumbnail this unbelievable, this picture that I put for the thumbnail. I'll show it to you now. By the way, this feature falls under the category in this magazine of modern living. And this picture is hilarious because if you remember, I had the Helen King book out, the Mrs. Harry King book out when I started the first episode on her last week. And it's a very how-to book on shading flowers. There's really nothing extra in there. She's very, very sweet, and the way that she regards her students is so heartwarming and nice. But there's really very little sort of texture. There's nothing about her. But the one thing that she did say was that she disapproved of frames, and she used that word. She disapproved of frames, and we were wondering, well, how does she hook without any kind of tautness happening? And she mentioned on another page that she worked on her lap. Well, here's proof that she works on her lap, and all of her buddies who she's recruited to work with her, they also work on their laps. Now, this is a hooking bee, circa 1930 something. And this is modern living at the time. I mean, isn't this funny? Just the rugs in general. Imagine walking into someone's home and seeing this. That would feel anything but modern. I mean, it would feel like heaven, but anything but modern to us now. So obviously nobody's working on a frame. I mean, people are sitting on the flagstone floor and hooking on their laps. Now, I don't know about you. I mean, maybe I just have got, people are softer now than they were then. But number one, sitting on the floor, going to be real hard to get up. Number two, sitting on the floor bent over, instant back and neck pain. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not tough enough. I got to toughen up a little bit. But this looks tough. But look at all the beautiful rugs that they're working on. I mean, this is just like a feast for the eyes kind of a thing. I wish that modern living wasn't there because I would love to frame this. And maybe I will do anyway because it's such a moment in time. Isn't it insane? It's absolutely crazy. I kept that up for a long time because I figured your eye was roving through it the way mine was, looking at the different patterns that they were hooking and the way that they have their hair up. They spent so much time. One of them has like a corsage. They probably knew that the magazine was coming to photograph. Two of them have a big corsage. They're all looking so pretty. And Helen is right in the middle in black. So she's actually turned away. She's right here, right in the center. She's actually turned away in the whole kerfuffle. But my gosh, she's like in a surf, like the ocean, like a surf of hooked rugs. So this is the extent of the article, these 2 pages. It doesn't continue to, the end. That's it. This is it. So let me tell you what this says, just in case you don't want to buy this just to have it. It's good, isn't it, Linda? Is that one big rug? No, it's not, Kirsten. Everybody's got a different rug. They're all distinctly different rugs. I don't think there's any 2 people working on the same. No, they're all working on different ones. They're all smiling. They're all so happy. It looks like they don't have any back pain. But, I mean, such a beautiful photo. I think this is probably very staged. But it's just for us as rug hookers, just a gorgeous photo. So the caption is, Mrs. King, in dark dress in the center, sits on the floor at the rug hooking party given in Jonesboro at the home of Mrs. Horace Sloane. And Mrs. Horace Sloane is this one here on the extreme right. She's there with this beautiful rug. So this is what this article says. I'll show you the other pictures too. The old art of rug hooking revived by party-loving Southern woman. The scene of hooking housewives pictured above is a busy example of a new kind of party to which women in New England and the South are flocking. that hooking parties have in recent years encroached on the popularity of the knitting bee and the sewing circle is due in great measure to the efforts of Mrs. Harry King of Beebe, Arkansas. The actual hooking of a rug requires no great skill. With a hooked steel needle, almost anyone can pull strips through colored cloth through a piece of burlap on which the design has been stenciled in advance. But to produce rugs such as those shown on the opposite page, one must have an interesting pattern as a basis, skill in selecting or dyeing rags to be used, dexterity in actual hooking. Mrs. King's great contribution is in making available to hookers more than 2,500 patterns, many copied from museum pieces. That's right, Relda. That's so funny. Mrs. Horace Sloane, right? Doesn't sound good, does it? 6 years ago, Mrs. King wanted to make an early American hooked rug for the floor of a remodeled colonial house in Hoxie, Arkansas, to which she had just moved. Because she could not find any ready-made pattern she liked, she decided to make her own, copying it from a photograph of a rug in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. This is just what George Wells did with his bachelor apartment, right, in New York City. Do you remember that episode, like way back in the fall? George Wells of like the Long Island Ruggery, famous name in and of himself, had the same thing. He wanted the perfect rug for his bachelor apartment, and he couldn't find it. So he started actually punching, not hooking, and he made it. So same motivation here. It was so attractive to her, friends clamored for copies of her design. That was the beginning of a flourishing business. Mrs. King now travels about the country giving free advice on hooking to groups of women who find this a highly satisfactory medium for self-expression. She sells her standard patterns for, now don't get stomach cramps, all right, between $1 and $17.50, according to size, and will make any pattern desired for a prospective hooker. The picture at the left shows a pattern being stenciled onto the burlap on which the rug is made. So that's the end of the text. I want to show you the stenciling. Her daughter is helping her with the stenciling in this picture. Daughter Carol helps with stenciling, always gets thoroughly smudged. Now, brace yourself, because we've talked about stencils a lot with Blue Nose Garrett, obviously Edward Frost, first I dibs a chair. Oh, right. You would be, yeah. I mean, and what's funny about the pictures, there's a couple of ladies back here who are in a chair. I think they're probably maybe the older ladies in the group or the less spry. There's got to be some kind of system for that sort of mayhem. Now, this is the stenciling picture. Let me make sure you're in focus. This is a beauty. So that's Carol, Helen's daughter, on the floor, stenciling. Now, take that one in, because you can see there's one huge metal stencil for, I assume it's metal, I suppose it could be cardboard, for the centerpiece, right, the sort of interior, and then there's one for the border. She's got one on the side for the border, and possibly one for the center, like the little diamond or the square in the middle. She's obviously going to flip-flop the side design to the other side, and she's already done the top and bottom, the smaller length. So this is how they were doing it, and she's saying smudging is guaranteed. Oh, you know what? That's not a medallion, is it? That's her pot with the paint in it, and this has got to be some kind of ink or something, right? Or I don't know. She must have a brayer of some sort in her hand. But that's how they're doing the transfer. And it's funny that she says the smudging is guaranteed. It's super labor intensive, right? Super labor intensive, but making beautiful, really large rugs. Now the adjoining the sister page to the article says hooked rugs add old-fashioned flavor to Mrs. J.D. Kinley's living room in Beebe, Arkansas. The rug at the right has 150 colors and includes husband's old suit. Let me show you this picture. This is just another cutie. Now this is the rug here that contains husband's old suit. You can see there's another rug back here, and this beauty here, that's a Mrs. Harry King, and kind of like a Maxfield Parrish print or painting above the fireplace. And then these pictures, let me see if I can bring these in. So let me tell you what they are first. This one here, this rug, Mrs. Harry King's favorite, uses the broken wreath pattern. Yeah, I thought this was real interesting. Take a look at this one. Get my finger out of the way.
So you expect to see kind of a laurel wreath, like open at the top, like a horseshoe. I have never seen this before myself, the broken wreath. It's more like a spiral, isn't it? It's like a spray of flowers. It's a spiral and it's got grapes all around it. I think this is a really unusual sight. I know that I have not seen that pattern or that rug before. Now this one here says, hearth rug has border on 3 sides only. Background is an old blanket. That's this one here. So it's going to be a directional rug. It's a hearth rug, so it butts right up to the fireplace. And that's why it's 3-sided. But doesn't this have tremendous Victorian charm? I mean, really, that is super, super, super gorgeous. Now this one here, let's look at this one next. Hookers call this rug Hell on the Border because of the intricate design. Now I think this is the design that I keep referring to as like the K-facet cabbage border. I'm sure it is. But yeah, apparently it's more than cabbage. It's hell on the border. I'm surprised that they said that because that's quite a bad word, right? Especially in 1930, 1940. But interesting rug, isn't it beautiful? All the heavy, heavy borders, right? Very, very different. Heavy, heavy borders. Now this last one, this is the last one of the article too. Roses and scroll are combined to make this old French design rug. And that's the last one they're going to show us in this magazine. I think that is another gorgeous rug. So, you know, this magazine cost maybe $10, $12. So worth it just for that one article to be able to share it with you. Super, super, you know, just having that photo of all those women sitting around on the flagstone hooking their respective rugs and having a proper hook in that apparently at this point in time has trumped the sewing bee and the knitting bee and all of those. I thought it was just amazing. And before I log off, which I have to do because today Teddy had to go to school for testing, so I dropped him off in the morning. It was a bit stressful because, you know, he's got his little mask and many others, but we haven't been to school for like almost 2 years at this, well, a year and a half at this point. So I'm going to have to go get him. But, you know, when I flipped the page here, it brought me to another artist who's not a rug hooking artist. She's an embroidery artist. I just want to show you this spread in case you feel as electric as I did when I saw her work. Marion Stoll, I'll show you the spelling in a minute, uses thousands of tints for her paintings in wool. Wait till you see this. It's just crazy. And I did look up Marion with an I-A-N, Stoll, S-T-O-L-L, on the internet. And she is known apparently as like a really cutting edge fiber art artist of the early to middle 20th century. I think she dies in 1961, something like that. And she's from Connecticut. She's from, I think she's from Waterbury, Connecticut. Yeah, it does say somewhere, but I found her online, not very much. But let me show you some of her work. You're just not going to believe that this is done in wool. Now, she's using a needle, not a hook, but it's the following page. This is the whole spread for her. I just want to show you because I think it's worth showing. This is her. She was married to somebody in Connecticut, and then she was divorced pretty early in the 20th century, and then he died of pneumonia. You can see this piece behind her. I'm going to show you some color ones. It looks to me like the Congregational Church in Bennington, Vermont. I'm not sure, but that's certainly what it looks like. And then over here, some of her work. This is wool. Like, this is wool that looks... Let me see if I can bring it in closer. You can see those stitches. She dyes her own wool, or she did. And she uses a needle, but she's doing basically crewel, but completely, you know, free everything. And I just thought these were, in terms of color and tone, that elusive tone, these are just crazy. These are just super, super modern examples of needlecraft. I don't even want to say needlepoint. They're not. They're embroidery. But, I mean, I just thought that was unreal. Which is crazy, crazy. So I looked her up too and went down the rabbit hole a little bit. But those 2 pages back to back were certainly worth the cost of this magazine. There's so much craziness in the spam, an article for spam. Don't get me going. I could eat spam for every meal, I'll tell you. It's so good. So anyway, that was a lot of fun. And again, Lana Turner, Issue of Life, January 29, 1940. What a great find. So happy to find that. So happy to be able to share that. So you know what? I'm still going to continue my search for more information on Mrs. Harry King, and Naomi is going to Arkansas, where she's from, in a couple of weeks. So she said she's going to like investigate if she can, whatever is near her, if Beebe is anywhere near her.
family. But you know, I'm gonna keep my radar up. I'm gonna keep the search going. The internet is exhausted. It's a dead end at this point. It's a complete cul-de-sac. There's nothing else to know from the bibliographies that are there. I've gotten everything that National Geographic is no good. This was great, but there's really nothing else. So, you know, rarely one of her rugs is up for like 358, I think, on Ruby Lane or something like that. Let's all keep our radars up and see what we can find out about her, because she obviously, not just based on that photo, but we know that she really did start a movement in her time that spread through the country. People having these hooking bees. She did a lot for the craft, and she's not a name that we hear often enough. I forgot to get out that Atha magazine. I'll get that out too. I forgot to get that out. What is wrong with me? But I'm going to continue the search. I just wanted to share that because I had that so far, and that article was so charming. And I thought that picture is going to be one of the best rug hooking history pictures of all time, right? So anyway, I'm going to go get my little man from school. Didn't think I'd be saying that this year. Oh, thanks, Mom. I'll give him a hug from Gami. He's going to be ready to come home, that's for sure. But you know what? I think he probably was also, there's only 3 people in his class because he's in the special autism class. I think he probably was very keen to get in there and talk crazy, like video game stuff with those other 3 boys. So hopefully that was good for him. You know, hopefully that was good. I'm gonna sanitize him like crazy though. But anyway, he had to do his state testing, so there wasn't much I could do about it. But hey, I will see you tomorrow. I don't even know what I'm going to do for the episode. Yes, I do, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to keep it for just a little while. Okay, I'll tell you. I'm going to do the Helen Albee Abenaki rug episode tomorrow. That's what I'll do tomorrow. Let's do that. So to be continued. The Helen Albee, right? So she's turn of the century, 1900 era. And the Abenaki rugs, which were the sort of Native American inspired rugs that she designed. We'll talk about her book, which I do not recommend buying because there's not one illustration in it, not one rug, nothing to do with color, nothing really useful. But I will cover it with you so you know what the book contains and what the sort of overall themes are that have to do with the Abenaki rugs, just in case you stumble upon one. I will see you tomorrow for that, for Helen Albee. Have a great day, everybody, and take care.